So welcome everyone to tonight's workshop, and we're going to look at how to create your own classroom website using Google Sites. So my name is Dal Wilson, and I'll just talk about myself in a wee bit, but just want to say just some general kind of housekeeping rules. I know that I've turned off all your mics, but if you want the mics were to be muted, and just if you have any questions throughout it, just pop them into the chat, and then I will answer them throughout the webinar workshop, or I will make sure that I answer them at the very end, or I'll get in contact with you to answer them fully, because I'm aiming to be a kind of tool for you to develop that idea. So with that, a little bit about me. So my name is Dan Wilson. I'm in third year of the FNTE, so Food, Nutrition, Textiles degree at UHI in Perth. So my educational background is in HNC and Educational Studies, HNC and HND and ASN, and then I've got a range of CPDs. Alongside that, I've also worked within schools and in care homes where I worked in a care home where I was head activities and I led on the digital technology front of the paperwork. And I'm also a Google Educator Level 1 and so on. So that's just about me, the kind of drier stuff. So what I'm going to cover in today's session is I'm going to look at an introduction, an overview of Google Sites. We're going to share some ideas. I'm going to do a kind of live demonstration. Then I'm going to share some examples of my own I've created, and I'll show you kind of front and back end of them and how they were developed. And I'll also show you some other people's really good examples. And then by the end, I will recap and then provide a wee kind of small conclusion with that. So just the key aims will be for the workshop is to aim to develop your awareness of the benefits of technology within the classroom, and also develop your skills within building a Google Sites, which is pretty simple, but once we go into it, you'll see how easy it is. And we're going to develop a range of ideas and how you can take them into your own classroom practices. So just like every lesson, we're just going to throw in a wee starter. In the chat, what I'd like you to do is imagine me as your head teacher, and I've came to you and said, can you create a website for your classroom? In the chat, write down anything that goes in through your mind. So that could be, I've not got enough time, I've not got enough experience, and I'll just give you maybe 2 or 3 minutes to pop in chat and let's see. So this is like your pre-assumptions of creating a website. Absolutely perfect. So it's a very wide range from lack of time, maybe lack of experience, maybe where do we start, how do we start, and down to like resourcing of it. So it's a very wide range of that. But what I'm going to do is almost debunk most of them in saying that this is easy enough when you have the tools and the benefits of using this kind of software. So what is Google Sites? So Google Sites is a free web-based tool that allows you to create and publish websites without the need to learn programming or designing. So it's very free, it is online, so it's automatically saved, and it is very customizable. So some of the key features of Google Sites is that you can add text, you can embed videos, images, files, and you can insert other apps into Google Sites. So it's making it a hub. You can change the theme, headings, you can collaborate with others. It will automatically save. So if you have a team member, maybe you join them together, join you to both in one site, and then you're working together collaboratively. You can share freely with other people, so that's with everyone. Obviously, it depends on your school network system, but Google Sites can be shared to everyone on the website, on the internet, so it can be accessible for all. And you can create as many as you want, so you could have one for every single class, you could have one for every single student. There's no limit to how many you can create, and they're all free. So you could have them all published and all accessible all the time. But some of the key benefits of using Google Sites is it is very easy to use. It integrates with the Glow workspace and also integrates with Google Workspace and Glow. So Glow is the national platform for Scotland, but it can be accessed through Google Workspace as well. It is free, it is customizable, and they provide very good templates. It's collaborative and sharing, and it is very secure, and there's no ads. And the benefit is you can showcase your work, showcase the pupils' work and the classroom work to others. So the benefits of that would be that it provides a central hub. So everything can be in one place for your subject. It enhances parent communication with the teacher. It is mobile friendly and accessible, so the pupils can just scan a QR code to your website, and there you go, they've got it on their phone. So you could have recipes, you could have the class work, and they can access it instantly. You can collaborate, you can project showcases. It promotes digital technology, and it is real-time collaboration. So for instance, your students could create a Google Sites and you could be added in as a collaborative. So you could see how they're doing before they publish it. But when we look at Google Sites, it's touching on the idea of benefits of digital technology within the classroom and digital education. And just some of the key benefits of that is accessible and flexible to all, so everyone can access the learning materials from no matter where, making education more inclusive. It is enhanced engagement interaction, so you can interact tools where the pupils can then use throughout it, and making it more of an active learning passive rather than a passive learning within your lessons. You can personalize it to the pupils' needs. You can collaborate and communicate with a global range of people, and you can develop skills for the future. So this is what we're aiming to do, is provide students with the knowledge of digital literacy, which will be crucial for when they hit the workforce later on. And then two very key things that I like to say is that education should be accessible. So that's the whole purpose of the Google Sites, is that it can be accessible to a child maybe not attending class, they can access it from home. Or a child that maybe doesn't come to your class but goes to another class, they can still access the work. It is flexible, and it is flexible of the time and place, so the pupils could access this at home. So if maybe you published a recipe for them to access, they could access at home and see that for your future reference. So what we're going to do is we're just going to, now that I've given you kind of an understanding of what Google Sites is, the key benefits, we're going to, if you scan the QR code on the screen, and also I'll pop the link into the chat, that's a digital whiteboard. And what I want you to do is then add your ideas onto the board. And then I'll give you maybe about 5 to 6 minutes to do that. So this is where we're getting an idea where we can develop other people's knowledge and what they might use Google Sites for, and how it might improve their teaching and learning. So it kind of gives you a wider range. Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone. So as you can see, there's such a wide range of ideas on how we can use Google Sites and what we can do within the classroom. And from just this mind map, you can see that they're all centered around this idea that we're creating a hub of learning. We're bringing learning to life, and we're aiming to give the pupils one place shop that they can access everything. And that is what Google Sites is about, and that's what I like about it, is that we're providing a place where students can just access in their own time or in class, and everything's there. You can include everything you want for that lesson or that entire course, and no matter what, it'll always be there for the pupils to access. But additionally, you also have access to this. So after the webinar, I'm going to then send out the slides, and you'll have access to the mind map, which you can then view and then get some ideas from. But it'll also remain live, so you can add more in, which is quite good. So what I'm going to now do is I'm going to now drop in straight into a demonstration. So I'm going to show you how to create a Google Sites and then how to customize it from the very start to the very end to the point where you're publishing it. So with that, I'm just going to start very start, and we're going to have an empty web browser, and I'm going to type in Google Sites. So there is other ways you can create a Google Sites and create it in, but this is the easiest way to do it. So you're typing in Google Sites and you're clicking on that, and it'll bring you to their hub page. So what it'll show you is, it'll show you at the top, it'll show you where to start, so new, and then underneath that, it'll show you like your recent sites. So that's every site that I've either got published or created from that, which is really good. And additionally, there's loads of templates that give you a kind of a overview of what you could start with, which is really good, because then if you scroll down to, let's say, the education one, there's things like student portfolio, class, and then that gives you the kind of main structure of the website, and then all you have to do is adapt it to whatever you need. So that's kind of benefits of the templates, but there is other ones, and you could just play around with it and see what you like most, and then you adapt it. But for the purpose of this workshop, I'm just going to create a blank one. So by creating a blank one, and then it's going to open up an empty page with my tools on one side and my saving bar kind of almost up at the top. So it automatically saves, but for it to automatically save, you need to save it. So I'm going to go to the very top, and where it says untitled site, I'm just going to name it. For the purpose of this, I'm just going to FNTE. And then I'm just going to click save, and that is it, saved into your Google Drive. Additionally, that will then, when you go to publish it, that will be the name of your site, but you can change it if you want. So for the very start, you want to title it. So you've got a head in there, and you could rename it to whatever you want. You can change the size to whatever you need it to go, and you can change the font. Additionally, you can change the actual banner type. So this is where it says header type, and you click on that, and it'll show text only, banner, large banner, and then the cover, and you can see it gets bigger progressively. On the next bit is an image, so you can either upload your own image to the background of this, or you can select one from Google. Just bear in mind, when you upload your own, when people use it on the mobile, it will resize, so it might look slightly not how you intended it, but it will just go a wee bit smaller. For the purpose of this, I'll click on select from Google, and then you can scroll down and you can see that they've got a bank of just random ones and ones that might be good for the classroom. So I'm going to click the wee post-it note one, and then it will automatically save into there. So then that's me get a heading and a heading background for my site. So you can also change, if you want to, then change to make it look slightly more aesthetically pleasing. The next bit is you might want to then add some text. So when you go to your insert bar at the side, so on your right hand side, it will show you loads of different options. And one thing I'd say with Google Sites is I'm only going to show you some brief options, but there's loads and loads you can put into it. So it's good that sometimes you might just go away and then just click on a button and see what happens. Pressing anything you want, and then, because at the end of the day, it's not going to blow up. You just have to click undo, and that's you. But it's about exploring it. So when you click text box, it almost creates it like a Word document, with the exception that it's in its own wee box. So you can type in welcome. So you can type in your welcome message maybe, and then it'll show up, and then you can change the font on that, and you can customize it to whatever you need. Additionally, you can click on that wee box and you can change the color of the background to make it stand out more, or you could then duplicate it, which then duplicates it down, and you might want to put your name. So then that's just two kind of brief ways you can insert text into it, and it's customizable from that. You can also then drag and drop. So once you insert, so say you copied information from a workbook, you could then insert it into a box and then move it around. So it'd be good then if you're putting into placement and things like that. So the next thing I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you how to insert a YouTube video or a video. So a video is when you go down into your insert and you're looking for YouTube, click on YouTube, and then say I want to insert one with knife skills. And then you click search, and it'll search for knife skill videos. You maybe want to make sure that you've properly seen the video before you insert, but for this instance, I'm just going to click on that video, and then it inserts a video. The benefit of this is that then it'll play within the site. So if the pupils are accessing it on their phone, they can play it within the site and they're not needing to go to YouTube itself. So it's all controlled and it's all under your discretion of how far and wide they go. So everything you're putting in this, the pupils access within it. And then you can drag and drop that to wherever you want it. And you can also resize it or make it bigger. Then the next bit is just a kind of wee aspect, is it a button. A button does what it says basically. So for this purpose, I'm just going to click on the SQA website and I'm going to link it. So I'm going to copy the URL and I'm going to go back in and I'm going to name it SQA, paste the link, insert, and then you get a wee button. So you can link anything to that. You can link different pages, you could link different websites or resources or even textbooks that you maybe want the pupils to follow, or other websites, which is pretty good because then you're in control of how far and wide they go. The next bit is to add in a page. So when you go into the insert box, there is a section called pages. So what you want to do is there's a wee plus button, and then you can click in new page and it gives you a new page. And then you need to name it before it saves, and then it creates a new page just like that. Additionally, there's also a menu selection. So if you click that and say section 1, it'll give you the option to then drag page 1 into section 1. Or you can then click now, give you the option to add in subpages. And what you'll notice is you'll now see it at the very top of my bar that it comes up. So without me putting into that section, it comes up on its own. But if I put it into its selection, it then folds it underneath. So when I show you my examples later, you'll see how that kind of really is useful for that. The next thing is I'm going to show you how to embed other apps and other software into this. For the purpose, I'm going to go back onto my Canva and copy the link from the whiteboard. So I'm going to click the embed button. And it's alive, so then I'm going to click copy, and then I'm going to go to the wee bit where it says embed. So you can embed it by URL, so if you've got a video, a YouTube video, you could click on that, or a website. But for the purpose of this, I'm going to click embed code and then Control V and then next. And what will happen is I'll then insert it live. So if you now make any changes on your Canva or any changes I've made on that, this will now upload onto the Google site, which is really beneficial. So you could then have it as a two-way kind of street. So then that's how you kind of insert that. So then also you can change the sidebar to move. So if you then go to your settings up here, and maybe you don't want it at the top, you maybe want it along the side, and then you can click side, and then it'll now go down the side. And also you can also click announcement banner, which is really good. Say they've got an exam due or homework due, you could then put in a message saying homework due, and then link it somewhere, and then hopefully, yeah, it pops up at the top, and then that way they're signposted straight away to when that is. So that's just some key features of how to insert like text boxes, videos, and then buttons, which are really handy, and then your pages. What you now want to do is then you want to share it with the pupils. So to do that, you need to go up to the publish button. And then what's going to happen is it will normally comes up, but you can change it and you can name your title. And then if it's taken, you might need to readjust or rename it to whatever you want. And then you can see that it gives you the option to request it to remove from public search engine. So maybe you don't want the entire world to see it, but you just want people with the link to see it, that's fine. Or you can leave it open for everyone. And then once you click publish, and you give it a couple of seconds, it then goes live. So then when you go up to the copy link button up here, and it'll give you the copy publish button. And for instance, then I go into a new tab, paste, and then it gives me what it'll look like live. So this is what the pupils would see. This is what everybody else sees apart from. So then you can click on your different pages and you can see how that's all kind of interlinked together, and you can see that the embedded Canva into that. So then if you make any further changes to your website, you might then want to republish it. So when you make changes, say I remove my name, I then can go to publish, and it'll give me a whole list of what I've changed and what's now going to be live when I publish it, which is really good because then you can see maybe you didn't want to make that change before you share it to the whole entire like kind of place you want to do it. To add a collaborator, so you've got a team teacher, you could then go up to the wee person button with a plus, click on it, and then you can insert their name and then add them, and they have direct access to adding anything in they want or need, which is pretty good because then you're working collaboratively and it saves you working on that. So that's just a kind of rough demonstration of how to use kind of basic features within Google Sites and how simple it is. So you're going from your templates to directly then creating one. So what I'm now going to show you is I'm going to show you some examples of Google Sites that's been created. So the first couples I've created personally, either for university or for my own professional development. And then there's some that has been created by other people. But on my ones, I'll show you what it looks like behind the scenes, unpublished, and then you can see the interaction of that. So my first kind of idea was when I used Google Sites was that I used it for a professional portfolio. So this was showcase my skills. So when I click on this one, and you all have access to the kind of examples, you can see that I've used buttons for different aspects. So like my personal statements, I've used it for like my CV, and then I've linked like photos and different images into it. So I'm kind of making interactive, but as you can see, that is one link, and that's telling somebody everything about me that I wanted to publish. You could also use it for a digital recipe book. So this is quite good because then you could have a QR code in your classroom and you could insert all the recipes that you want to use. So for this recipe book, I've kind of included like things like hand washing posters. So when you click on that, I'll take you to that. And my kind of chopping boards and kind of knife skills. And then I've linked it to external recipe websites that's maybe more suitable that I want the pupils to view rather than them going off in other ones. For instance, then when I go into like my S1, it'll give me all the recipes I've inserted. So say that they're doing pizza baguette, and then I've inserted an image, the ingredients, the equipment, and the method. So when they now scan that QR code, or you've sent them a link on Google Classroom, or whatever way, they now have access to the recipe on their phone, and it'll sync to their phone. So which is quite good, because then it's more digitized. And if they had an ASN, possibly, they could use things like Read or Write or their own accessible tools for the recipe to read to them, or converted to a different language. So that's just kind of two ways for that. So then when I dive into more kind of constructed ones, would be that for my textiles portfolios for university, I've created these, and then this is how I've using this for university, but then in future I'm now going to use that for my own teaching practice, and I'll just remove the university details from that. So if I click on my portfolio for textiles, you can see that then now I went in and started kind of really deep diving into kind of linking things in. So I've added images, the text, and then I've hyperlinked different bits that maybe needed to be signposted. So this is for the submission. For my submission was that I had to have certain ones. So I've hyperlinked that so the marker can see it. So maybe good for the pupils then, for them to have a hover sheet, so that you're then signposted to what you need to see. So when I click on, let's say, overlocking, and then I put in like step-to-step guides, and then I put in videos. So then when I click home again, you could then see it goes further down. So I've even got down to equipment, and I've got all my images and photos. Same with like textile dictionary, I've included that. And then when I go into, let's say, my exam board, because I was enhancing the mark for it, I just want to highlight that not all websites will allow you to embed your URL. So for instance, because this is SQA, they don't allow you to import it, but they allow you to copy it. So it's good then maybe you just want to copy that, and then that way they have access to it. And same with like the videos. So you can see I've copied the URL so they can access that without me having to signpost them anywhere else. So then just another example of like kind of textiles would be test performance. So what I'm going to show you is what it looks like behind the scenes almost, and how it actually interacts with that. And you can add like PowerPoint slides into it via, you can either do it through your Google Drive, so you could have it live, or you could create it through, like maybe if you're using OneDrive for your school, you could then also copy the link, and it will still work with that. Just answer that question in the chat. So with that, I'm just going to show you how it looks like in the creative mode, so what it looks like behind the scenes. So you can see now where I've included my subsections and how they actually benefit for that. So I've put pages and pages, and it only goes so far as doing it as twice. So you can't do like 4 sub pages in one. So you just need to be careful on how you structure it. So maybe it's good that if you're creating one, to maybe set out your template first and then add in your different pages. So then you can see how then I went through that and I've interlinked everything. Something else I want to show you is that you don't always need to show the pupils every single page. So they don't need to see all these pages. They only need to see the pages you want to see. So you might want to do this. You can go to these 3 wee dots and you can click show navigation or hide from navigation. And what that does is it hides it when you publish it. So for now, I've got that as hide. So when you go into the published view, you don't see it. All you see is the first page, and then you see the button. And then when you click on the button, it takes you to that page that I've signposted the pupil to, but it doesn't show them in the toolbar. So it kind of makes it less clunky for the pupils to see. And additionally, it's quite good because then you could hide, say you're writing a lesson, writing a series of lessons, you might want to hide certain pages so that the pupils don't go too far on, or you maybe want to adjust the content before they see it. So that's just kind of some examples that I've created, and then you can also have access to them after the webinar. So some of the other kind of examples would be that there's some examples from other places I've just looked at, so like a course website, and then also one from like a revision site that somebody's created with loads of different tools, and how it interacts and making that hub of revision for the pupils. things like making it for your own classroom website. So like Rachel Richards, having everything in one place where you can access it. There's one from the IFT lit books, so they include all food technology books. So obviously they included PDFs, and then like one from a kind of school, how they've created a Google site. So it's always good to then you can go in, see what they've done, and then you can maybe take some inspiration from that. So with that, that is loads and with the demonstration. So I'm just going to do it is just give you a recap and then we'll do something else. So with that, digital education transform education requires you to be collaborative and patient with it. So Google Sites was loads, but just take some time and play around with it. There's no harm in trying and pressing different buttons to see what happens, because at the end of the day, it's good to start somewhere rather than nowhere. And to believe that education needs to be a centralized hub. So Google Sites is providing that hub of learning and teaching. It is really good for that, and it benefits the pupils for that, because they can just now sign in or have a QR code on the board and they could scan that and there you go. They've now got access to everything that you need them to have access to. So no longer them saying they didn't bring their textbook in, or no longer they didn't bring in a sheet in, because you've already included that there. So there's no longer that kind of aspect of that, which is really good, because then if a child's at home, they can still access your work and not see your slides. So what I want to do is just want to say thank you so much for coming to this workshop and webinar. And I just want to say thank you once again, and if you would take the time to fill out some feedback for me on today's session. And also, if you have any questions regarding Google Sites, please do not hesitate to just send me an email, and I'm happy to help with anything. And even if you wanted to do a remote call to help you set that up, I'm happy for that to do that. But thank you so much for coming, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your evening.